Breaking news in Ann Arbor, Sherrone Moore is fired for an inappropriate relationship, and this is the first ever live Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad, sponsored by Game Time. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
I'd say happy Wednesday, but I don't know if happy is the right word to use. I'm Spencer McLaughlin, your host. Roman Tomashoff of Locked On Huskies is here with Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers, Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes, Zach Sako, Locked On Nittany Lions, Zach Anderson-Yoxheimer of Locked On UCLA Bruins. And this is a live Locked On Big Ten Squad. We felt this was the best opportunity to do a live squad show because what on earth? This has apparently been in the works for several weeks. It is official. It is final. He has been fired from Michigan, Sherrone Moore. He's been reportedly detained by the police as well. Jay, I'll let you go first, just for the fun of it. What was going through your head when you read all of this news for the first time?
So the inappropriate relationship was the first thing that I was trying to figure out. Well, I was trying to figure out why. What did he do to get fired? It wasn't something on the field because you improved from last year's record to this year's record. I know you lost to Michigan. You lost to Ohio State, but I didn't think this year's on-field product was one that was worthy to fire a coach. So I'm trying to figure out what was going on. I read a little bit more, read about this relationship that got him out of town. But I think it was a little bit deeper because the donor stopped giving money. And when the money stopped flowing in, or it's flowing in a little bit slower, then the investigation is going to go a little bit faster. We all know in college football, investigations don't normally go that fast. They don't normally go at the pace that we would like them to. This was going on since, we believe, mid-November. Then all of a sudden, he's up out of town. It's not good for Michigan's program because I don't think the culture there is where it needs to be to begin with. And now you don't have a head coach going to the bowl game. You just signed a recruiting class. What's going to happen with that? I don't know. The portal's opening up in January. The coaching carousel is not complete now, but it's not where you want it to be if you're Michigan. Sorry, Sako. Penn State took 2 months to find a head coach, and they found one right now. And so,
you know what? I think Penn State's having a great day because they're looking around going, well, we don't have the worst coaching situation in the country. Thank you, Michigan. Woo!
You
got right, Sako?
The headlines now. You are.
Yeah. You can't knock on Penn State because they made a good hire. Matt Campbell's a good head coach, and I don't know who Michigan is going to get. Reportedly, some folks have hinted that Kalen DeBoer might be.
That's not the Kalen DeBoer rumors. I'm used to those.
Yeah. Sako is our resident Kalen DeBoer rumor expert that hasn't actually had him be the head coach. Sorry, Roman.
I was gonna say, hold on a second.
Yeah. Sako, why don't you go for it? Go for it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is I'm ready for this moment. No, the Kalen DeBoer rumors were immediately swirling, right? I think he's in terms of those market odds and everything, he's the instant favorite because of all the presumed animosity or unhappiness between DeBoer and his family. So Michigan, would benefit from hiring Kalen DeBoer here. I think that's somebody that would do very well. But over in the Penn State stratosphere, the social media reaction generally was, well, thank goodness we have a head coach. At least we don't have the worst situation. But then there's also the other side of it. What is Matt Campbell thinking? Matt Campbell should have just waited a couple more days, and he ended up settling for Penn State when he could have had Michigan. And I said, the guy turned down the Detroit Lions and an 8-year deal from an 8-year offer from the Lions. I don't think he would want the Michigan job, if I'm being honest.
Roman, what was the first thing that went through your head when you read Sherrone Moore fired? Because I was driving back from a round of golf, shocking, I know, and all of a sudden on CarPlay, I see a group text with my brother and a buddy, and we usually talk about sports. They're sending off like a bunch of texts in a row, and I'm thinking like, what is going on? I finally get home and see that he's fired. My first thought is, They were supposed to lose to Ohio State. What in the, like, it can't hurt that bad. You just got them 4 years in a row. That can't be it. What did you think?
So I actually was also in the car, and I got a text from a good friend of mine who is somewhat connected in the college football world, and I did because it just somebody sent me the post, and so it just on my Apple CarPlay I just read it as a Twitter post or whatever, and then it sounds like it's going to be Kalen. And I was like, what is this? And so I finally get stopped, and I looked down at my phone. I said, oh, this is what's going on. So there's so much insanity going on with all of this. And Seiko, no offense, but as another, Kalen DeBoer rumor expert, a couple of years ago, before he did wind up leaving for the Alabama job, in a lot of Washington circles, the biggest concern was that he was going to wind up at Michigan after Jim Harbaugh left for the LA Chargers.
So I'm a rookie in all of this. I don't even understand the game.
No, you'll get acquainted very quickly, brother. Don't you worry about that. But this is one of the things that has been circulating around just in Washington circles for a while as it pertains to Kalen DeBoer to Michigan. And then, of course, the second choice, because everything is just a disaster, is Jedd Fisch, where that's not necessarily shocking. This isn't even the first time this week we at Washington have seen, oh, hey, look, that coach just knows somebody or has been there before, because Ryan Walters was rumored to be looking at Tennessee. And then, of course, it looks like they're going with Jim Knowles. But this is one of those things where, as I look at this point in time, I think that Kalen DeBoer is far and away the favorite, and everything else from there, like, we'll see what happens. I feel like as it pertains to Jedd being rumored to be interested in the Florida job as well, if Florida wasn't necessarily super interested in what he had to offer, I don't feel like Michigan is going to be, but obviously after this, just everything we've seen today, who knows what's going on in the world of college football anymore.
Yeah, the bottom line here is that every coach that Seiko has ever covered or discussed or mentioned on his show is going to have his name pop up in the coaching carousel. You know who I saw on a list of potential Michigan head coaches, Seiko, at ESPN? Manny Diaz, man. Good record at the Power Four. Just won the ACC. He could bring Darian Mensah with him if Bryce Underwood bolts. Hey. You never know.
Thought you were looping back to Kurt Cignetti right there. I'm not gonna lie.
No. We all know that Kurt Cignetti. We all know that Kurt Cignetti. Yeah, there you go. That's good. That was good. So go. You may hop in here.
Yeah, my thoughts were unfortunate event, right? And we don't know the details here as of this live show, and it's clearly not pretty. You got fired for cause, right? So you will not see a single penny if you are Sherrone Moore. And then we just learned before going live that, he was detained by police. I mean, it's going to get ugly here, and hope that all parties involved are okay and that everything works out the way that it needs to. But my thought here is, man, this is a very abrupt end to just a weird situation in general, I thought, with Sherrone Moore at Michigan. I mean, he took over for a program that was caught in a cheating scandal. He then was suspended several games for said scandal, and now he's fired for whatever situation this might be. I mean, it just never made sense to me from the beginning for him to be the head coach, and he walked into a weird situation being around the program, and I don't know. And so it's over now, obviously, and I don't know where Michigan goes from here, but, man, that's a job that if I'm from the outside looking in, I just don't know. As big as the Michigan brand is, as great as the fans are, as great as the Big Ten is, I don't know if I touch it, to be quite honest with you, because there are some
Listen to the early confidence from the Indiana guy. Wins the Big Ten once, and suddenly Michigan's a second-rate job. Who wants to go to Ann Arbor?
That's not what I meant.
I mean, come on.
You know that. It's because of all the stuff they're dealing with here. Do you want to walk into that? I don't. I don't want to walk into that. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
That's true. That's what people said about Indiana football before Kurt Cignetti took over. So.
We weren't cheating, though. We weren't winning games, but we weren't cheating either. So
that's I'd hope that you weren't cheating if you weren't winning as little as they did.
It was all authentic. The losses were all authentic.
That would be the worst story for Indiana of all time. Of like, oh yeah, for the past 20 years they were paying players under the table and they were pushing the limit too far on sign stealing and whatnot, and they didn't win 10 games until Cignetti got there, and it was all above board. I'm almost afraid to ask, but Zach, what do you think about the situation? Yoxheimer, that is.
Well, it's interesting. I was also in the car. Seems to be a trend. I was heading to baseball practice, one of my other side gigs, and I drove past my former roommate, a Michigan fan. Shout out outside the car, hey, Michigan just fired their coach. This was without the context, right? I didn't know the context. It just broke. I said, Michigan fired their coach. He's like, what? They fired. I turned right. I never saw him again. And then...
That's a great story. It's still the second best car story that's been told on this show in the last week.
So then I go, I'm leading baseball practice. I get to my phone. I'm like, oh, this is so much worse than initially thought. Because I have thought, okay, this is a little crazy from it. Without context, you think that this is a little quick. And then adding to it, and still the information we're learning, even as we're doing this live, is just, it's insane. But yeah, I did happen to break the news to a Michigan fan. I think. Maybe he didn't know, but.
How about that? Actual honest-to-God reporting being done by Yoxheimer right there by rolling down his window. They fired Sherrone Moore! That's how the real journalists do it. When we get back, we're going to talk more about a guy that at least two individuals in this chat know very well. Is Kalen DeBoer really about to leave Alabama? That's coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by our friends at Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, but a good type of reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. If you haven't seen one of these in person before, not only can you fit a bunch of photos in there and the concept is really cool, but they look great. It does not ruin the aesthetic. It adds to it in whatever space you're going to put it in. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Map frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. I can understand why. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Check out auraframes.com. All right, so Kalen DeBoer, according to, heavy speculation. Roman, do you have a high level of confidence that there is a real possibility that he could be? Because frankly, I could see it. If he loses a fourth game after losing 3 games he lost 4 games last year at Alabama because they lost to Michigan in their bowl game. If he's got 4 losses in back-to-back years, no playoff games at Alabama, I think there'd be plenty of Crimson Tide fans that would say, yeah, all right, you can hit the road because we want to find somebody better. This is not the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things where there's been too much smoke to ignore around not just, this Kalen to Michigan thing, but Kalen to Penn State, just whoever it might be. If it's Jimmy Sexton, whoever it is, just kind of putting his name out there saying, hey, what's the interest level here if this were to happen? What's the interest level here? It's something that we can't ignore anymore. And it's one of those things where, obviously in my position as Washington and Jedd Fisch are hopefully in some kind of agreement on an extension. I have no knowledge of that at this time, but whatever might be happening there, obviously be great to keep Jedd Fisch around. But as it pertains to Kalen DeBoer, I can't ignore this anymore. And the fact that, again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, this has been rumored for a long time that this is where he wants to go. He's from South Dakota. He's a Midwest guy at heart. Yeah, this was probably the job that he always just grew up like, oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Because everyone has that kind of job. And if it is Michigan for Kalen DeBoer, I'm not going to be shocked at this point in time.
Seiko, do you think Kalen DeBoer would leave Alabama for Michigan? And do you think it's contingent upon whether he beats Oklahoma in Norman next week?
Well, that's just it. I mean, if Alabama loses to Oklahoma twice in the season, right? They get knocked out of the opening round of the playoff. I think that's more or less the same thing as not even making it at that point. You don't get very far. You lose. It's an embarrassing loss to another SEC team. And if Michigan's going to give you the resources, give you the stability, you're going to get closer to home. I don't see why he doesn't take it. I really don't. So if the idea that he and his family are truly unhappy and it's one of the worst kept secrets in Tuscaloosa, then yeah, that he's probably going to look like that's a stable transition to go from Alabama to Michigan. I mean, Kalen DeBoer couldn't hedge his career bets any better.
Goins, tell me why Kurt Cignetti is going to be the next head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
You shut your mouth
kidding.
right now.
I'm kidding.
I have
I'm
a genuine
kidding.
question here. Talking DeBoer in the pressure cooker that is the
Goins, this is the
Alabama
Big
job.
Ten squad. We don't do genuine.
Okay, I have a open.
Look who's
question.
hosting this.
Yeah, true.
Neutral arbiter of all things college football. That's who. Sorry,
Not
Goins.
tonight,
Go
you're
ahead.
not. Question about the pressure cooker job that is Alabama in comparison to the Michigan job. Do we see those as equal in terms of the fans, of the win expectations, of the, history? Yes. But do you see what I'm asking here? You're talking about Atlanta. Seiko was just talking about the move from Alabama to Michigan. I kind of agree. And weirdly enough, pressure-wise, it might be a little bit easier. Might not be as crazy.
It's the Nick Saban effect.
Let's
That's all it is.
let's-
It's the Saban
here.
effect.
Let's take a poll here amongst the six of us. Between the two jobs, who would rather be the head coach at Michigan?
Currently, like as we speak.
Yes, currently. Who would rather be the head coach at Michigan than Alabama? 3. So Roman, Goins,
maybe
and
it's a
Jay,
Big Ten thing.
there
I don't
is
know.
no option C. You'd rather be the head coach at Alabama than Michigan.
I think from resources.
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay, Jay, go.
Resources
Jay,
are comparable.
bias aside there. Go ahead and explain your reasoning there. 'Cause
Well, no, the
yeah,
bias
go
isn't-
ahead.
The bias isn't really even the reason why. They're trying to rebuild a culture after cheating, and they have not fixed it yet. I think the culture currently is worse than it was when Harbaugh was there while they were cheating. The players that are currently there aren't the same caliber that they were last year or when Harbaugh was there. At least Alabama has really good players. Michigan doesn't. Their offense doesn't have an identity. Yes, they have a talented quarterback they paid a lot of money for, but no one knows what Bryce Underwood can be as a quarterback. You know what you think he can be. He isn't that. The offensive line, solid. Running backs, you have good running backs. I think the Alabama job is always going to be better. And it's not just a bias thing. If Michigan culture was better, there's less pressure at Michigan than there is at Alabama. Even if you take away the Nick Saban effect, Michigan's pressure isn't there. You beat Ohio State with what they have 7 wins last year. They're cool with that. 7 wins at Alabama gets you fired.
That's why I came down on the Michigan side. I don't think there's a clear-cut answer. I think it's just a matter of personal preference. The reason I went with the Michigan angle is I know the support is there, and I feel like, yes, they've been made in this specific mold. It's taken them a while to rebuild, and I get that. But if you go to Michigan, I think you could make any kind of team that you want. I think you're going to have great fan support. You're going to have reasonable expectations, but there is still going to be a standard of winning that they've adhered to for a very long time. You can perhaps be more diligent about who you send to other games to get the signs of other teams. For sure, I think you can handle that differently. But I think at Michigan you have what you need to win. And if you feel like the program is several years away, I think that's just the way that Sherrone Moore is built, and that's just how he rolls as a head coach. I don't know. Goins, tell me I'm crazy.
No, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think it really does come down to preference. I mean, I think it comes down to the part of the country that you're in terms of living and recruiting and things like that. I mean, all of that, we don't think about that all the time, and we don't always talk about that. But when you're talking about taking a job like this, all of those factors are important. Your family, your recruiting background, your coaching tree, all of those things feed into this. And we don't always talk about that because it's not the sexiest of topics at times. But I think that all has a factor here. And I saw somebody just say in the comments, if this Kalen DeBoer thing just happened, if he does go from Bama to Michigan, how mad is Lane Kiffin? Taking the LSU job.
Don't worry. He could bolt from LSU. Go take the Bama job.
And there's a chance that he would. How crazy would that be?
I don't think there's a chance that he would.
If
LSU is such a premier
anyway.
job. I couldn't see that. I think that'd be.
It's not like it's happened before.
I mean,
Yeah.
Seiko, If you were Kalen DeBoer, would you stay at Alabama? Would you go to Michigan, or would you see how this playoff run goes?
I mean, we don't know what we don't know right at the end of the day. If you lose to Oklahoma, like that changes a lot of things. You keep winning. Are you putting off the inevitable, right? And that's what we're only going to be able to speculate about or try to guess at. Again, Kalen DeBoer knows how much stability he has just because there's some angry message board commentators that say, I want Lane Kiffin or I want Nick Saban back because DeBoer loses a questionable game. I mean, Alabama's a great job, but Michigan, comparable resources, comparable support, right? I don't know that Alabama's miles ahead of Michigan and vice versa. I think they're right there in that they're teetering on that top 5 level overall in terms of objective resources. So like I said, it's a win-win either way. If you have stability at Alabama, why leave? If you don't, you can land at Michigan and get the stability you're craving and be back in a part of the country that you're just more comfortable in. It's a win-win for DeBoer either way. You're landing with a definitive top 10 job.
Yoxheimer, which one would you go for?
Michigan, I would think, would have a lot of patience, right? You go from a cheating scandal, you have the issues with Jim Harbaugh at the end, then you go with what's going on with Sherrone Moore. You would think there's a lot more patience. You go from Alabama to Michigan, that resets the clock for DeBoer. It's not like, oh, he's getting this hot seat every week. Oh, you lose the wrong game. If he loses to Oklahoma, you could say this is a done deal. Even if he wins a game, it's like, well, I could reset my clock and move a little bit closer to home without dealing with this message board, whatever this nonsense, this pressure cooker that's happening in Tuscaloosa. Go to Michigan, and they'd appreciate you so much more than Alabama ever would.
I think Yoxheimer makes some good.
Another name I'm seeing early here, guys, just for fun of the conversation. Kenny Dillingham's name is being thrown around, who was being tossed for some of the other P4 openings. So,
by the way, you want to talk about a culture guy who walked into a disaster at Arizona State and flipped it around. Boy, that'd be a home run hire. We'll debate more candidates for the Michigan head coaching job, which, yes, if you're just joining us, is indeed available. Sherrone Moore has been fired and reportedly detained by the police as well. Don't know exactly why. That's all evolving. So, still plenty more to come here on this live Locked On Big Ten Squad. A squad show brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays, man, they move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game. You're reacting to it in real time. Live is always better. That's why we're doing this squad show live, right here, right now. Got to give Goins credit. It was his idea, his brainchild. We've made it happen. Boom. I think we're having a good time. Hope you are as well. And you can on FanDuel, where you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, it's all over there. And the college football playoff matchups, they're all on FanDuel, of course. You've got point spreads, you've got money lines, you've got point totals, you've got prop bets, futures bets. It's all over there. FanDuel can make your college football viewing experience even more exciting. And of course, you can live bet on the NFL. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com to place your NFL live bets all season long and bet on the college football playoff as well, or whatever you think is going down. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Jay Stevens of Locked On Buckeyes had to head out, but let's talk about some other potential names for this Michigan job. Goins, you mentioned an interesting one in Kenny Dillingham. I'm a huge Kenny Dillingham fan. I have been for quite a while. Roman, I don't know if there is a more perfect hire, because for those who don't know, he walked into a situation at Arizona State in which the recruiting had fallen outside of the top 100s nationally for a state in Arizona, which, yes, is indeed where Arizona State's located. Breaking news. But
crazy.
I know. It's crazy. Absolutely wild. But I discovered it. I found that out. I wanted to break the news live here on this Big Ten squad. But Herm Edwards had been, they had a bowl sanction, a postseason ban because of recruiting violations Herm Edwards had relating or had done going back to his time there during COVID. And Kenny Dillingham had them in the playoff in his second year. Yeah. If you're looking at this as, hey, this culture's a disaster, man, I don't know that there's a better fix for that than Kenny Dillingham.
No, I absolutely agree. And that's one of those things where, Jacob was talking about the resources and recruiting when it comes to what Michigan brings to the table. Spencer, you said it perfectly. Look at what he's done at Arizona State. Now imagine that on a larger scale. I think that's one of those things that certainly does fit. And as you just kind of look at recent track record when it comes to turning around a program that quickly and getting them back to the college football playoff and all that sort of stuff, that is so important in all of this, as a lot of these other names get tossed around. Because the one to me that makes sense, but I know he has a show cause order because of everything that happened there, was Jesse Minter, where it's one of those things where that can help you establish the identity of what you've been on the defensive side of the ball for the last couple of years. And again, I know there are a lot of reasons why that might not happen. I don't
think he would stay.
I think you might be right. And there are so many reasons why is that we could dive into, but that's just one of those things where, as we consider all of these different names, these guys have identities. These guys have clear-cut cultures in one way or another that Michigan can really build around, not, blue-collar jackets.
Goins, talk to me about the idea of Michigan head coach Jedd Fisch.
I mean, do you actually want me to, or do you just want me to do so because of Roman being here?
Both.
Okay. I don't know. My question for Michigan, and I'll talk about Jedd Fisch in a moment. My question for Michigan right now, obviously the timing is horrible. The situation is even worse, but the timing is bad. You just signed a recruiting class where now those players, I believe they'll have a chance to get out of those NLIs, right? They have an opportunity to get their national letter of intent revoked and be free to do whatever they want to with the initial, or the official signing day in February. But then you've got the portal opening up in a few weeks, and you're trying to now have to hire a coach, and you're probably going to have to hire new staff. I mean, it's a disaster altogether. Jedd Fisch would be an easy fix, I think. And I mean that in a good way. I think he's a guy who's been around. He's a guy that understands. He knows what it would take to come in and at least settle everything down. Right? I think he could do that. I think Dillingham could do that. I've seen some people mention Brian Kelly could do that if they really wanted to go that direction. A coach like that who could come in and just settle the waters. So, because Michigan's not aiming for a national championship in the next 2 or 3 years. Can we just go ahead and say that? You've got to get away from all this mess that you're a part of. You've just got to get out and just, Jay was saying it before he left, just reestablish a culture at Michigan. I think Jedd Fisch would be fine to do that. I don't know if he's going to win them a title, but I think he could come in and at least calm everything down if need be.
Seiko, he mentioned Brian Kelly, and you heard my reaction. What's yours?
It's an option. See,
it's an option.
It's an option.
It's one of the coaches of all time.
I kind of feel like Brian Kelly's just completely displaced because he's not going to accept Michigan doesn't want him. That would be their, well, okay. I mean, you coached at Notre Dame, you coached at LSU. He would be their, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th option. It's not going to be the first round of candidates that they're going to go with. So let's think about it from Michigan's perspective. If I'm Michigan, I don't want to hire Brian Kelly. When I was getting text messages saying, "Hey, are you hearing anything about Brian Kelly to Penn State?" I was like, "I hope not. Please, no." And that's probably the same thing with the Michigan higher ups, is they're like, "Please let us not get to a point where we have to consider Brian Kelly." Decent coach under the circumstances, but he just seems so displaced at this point. And I don't think he's going to settle for a group of 5 job or a lower power 4 job.
Not Penn State talking about how you get to the 8th or 9th option on the list, and you don't want to be in that position, man.
That is fake news.
You don't want to be
the 17th,
there,
right?
Yeah, it was only the 7th option, Spencer.
It doesn't matter how you start; it's about how you finish.
I have a question. I know I want to let Yoxheimer get in here too. Whoever it is that's hired at Michigan, do you come in and completely clean house? I mean, I honestly have that. I don't care, and that may be people getting fired and let go by association and by.
What do you mean clean house?
Clean house, like if you're in the
players,
program,
staff, or both?
Staff, yeah, staff. I know it's a big deal, and again, we're talking about a that's the thing. I'm just kind of throwing an open question.
The defensive coordinator, what's his name? Wink Martindale.
Yeah, it's
Is it
not
worth
fair.
it?
Again, it's not fair, but you're talking about a Michigan program right now that's not competing. They're not in the playoff. You just had your coach fired for things that he was clearly doing on his own time, and that doesn't have anything to do, I don't think, with your staff. But just with everything happening, I mean, at what point do you just kind of look at the universe and say, man, we just need to restart. We need a refresh. We need a reset. We need a restart, which may or may not be fair. I don't know. I'm just kind of, again, speaking out here as we're talking about this live. I mean, I don't know, man. Something has to change because clearly it's not going right up in Ann Arbor.
Yoxheimer, what's your level of worry that Bob Chesney is about to change course?
I mean, he's a vibes guy. I'm pretty sure he's got too much going on coaching a team in the playoff, right? You're talking about a bunch of guys other than Kurt Cignetti who are not in the playoff. If you want a vibe changer, go with Kenny Dillingham. I mean, he's young. He's probably got some years. Give him some patience. He already went through with ASU. Look at all the things Kenny Dillingham does. Guys who decide to enter the portal, or in this case, intention to enter, still play in our bowl game. Supports guys who leave his own program, whether it's coaches or players. You always see that on social media. He's got the right vibe, the right mindset. He would be the right guy to turn around a culture. I mean, as much as Kalen DeBoer to Michigan makes sense, do you want a guy who is unhappy with his current life? Do you want the same thing potentially rumored with Jedd Fisch, right, Roman, in Washington? Why have people unhappy? Have someone happy who's ready to take on the challenge and has already proven to be a culture changer, not just a dude looking to get up.
Let me throw this at you. Change the culture from the place that he showed up at. Would love to have the Michigan job. Tell me why Billy Napier is the right man for the job in Ann Arbor.
We need Locked On Gators host Brandon. Where you at, Brandon?
He's in London somewhere.
He's gonna pop in right now.
I think he's asleep. Hey, everything I said was true. Billy Napier changed the culture in Gainesville. I never said it was good. Factually accurate.
Yeah.
He's the next head coach at James Madison, by the way, for those who don't know. Are there any other, just to wrap this show, like random names or potentially viable options that are hanging out there that you think Michigan would try and go get? Because
I'm looking at.
I mean, there are guys that could be vibes, and there's guys who could actually coach this team, right? Do you want
Manny
a guy to be there for
Diaz?
2 years? I mean, just depends.
I mean, there's a lot of dudes who are,
Lincoln Riley.
I've seen Chip Kelly in here,
Yeah.
which would just
Speaking about the ultimate dumpster in terms of vibe killer.
Oh no! Chip Kelly is the wrong.
And
wrong
I can tell
hire.
Spencer
Brian
loves
Kelly
that
and Chip
idea.
Kelly are
I'm
not
happy.
related.
You know,
Seiko-
Spencer has turned a corner when he's like hating on Chip Kelly because I can
I
text
just
him
don't
and-
think it's a good fit. You know what? Someone has suggested Chip Kelly to Washington State, that there's been some contact there. That would be fun. That'd be perfect fit, maybe not, but that would at least be fun. Chip Kelly at Michigan, boy, I don't think that would go in a positive direction. Seiko, you're saying something?
Go ahead, Seiko. Go ahead.
No, I Lincoln Riley. That's who I threw out.
How do I add this live stream to Locked On USC?
Had them watch the whole show for the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's hold on, I can edit.
I've seen.
Wait.
How can you?
No,
I've
no,
seen
I won't do that. I
will say
could.
there have been, like, in the same vein, though, to Seiko's point, in the same vein that we've heard so much about, like, Kalen wanting this job or that job, we've heard similar rumors just through some back channels about Lincoln Riley. Like, there's
Everywhere.
There's certainly a non-zero chance there. And one of the things that I do feel
I've heard
that
those.
one thing that needs to be considered with all of this as well is the fact that Michigan does not have to pay a buyout for Sherrone Moore. Like,
Yeah, they got
I think
plenty of
this is a
money.
really important factor in all of this because, yeah, you just have extra money to burn. If you say that's the guy we want, his buyout is what? Yeah, we don't care.
Wasn't he linked to like every SEC job opening, like
Yes.
Auburn and Florida?
LSU,
and
Florida.
I don't know if
like,
that ever got.
all of
I think
those?
Florida was what was the most serious, but I don't know if it ever actually got very far.
I'm seeing dude, some of these names in the comments, and I know we got to wrap up here, but Mike Tomlin is being thrown around out there.
Okay.
Those aren't serious. Stop it.
I mean, I'm just reading. Okay,
Tom-
we already
Tom
mentioned.
Brady has a more likely chance.
I just thought of the perfect one. Oh man, John Gruden.
If you're
John
going John
Gruden.
Gruden, I raise you a Coach O.
That is a culture.
Restaurant. Yes, Ed
Culture,
O.
baby, culture.
How about this? How about Ed O is the head coach and John Gruden is the OC?
Oh, I was going to go Chip
that's-
Kelly as
that's
the OC.
That
Nightmare
staff
fuel.
would feed families. No, Chip.
Edo could
Chip,
be the DC.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's make that 3-man staff. Edo's the head coach. No. How would it have to work? Okay.
You need the
Probably
most
Gruden-
exciting dude
Gruden
as the
head
coach, not the boring dude.
Gruden's the head coach. Edo is the DC. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator. Who says no?
Can work.
But I don't want Gruden
Who
with
says
interviews.
no?
I want Coach O to do the interviews.
Yes. I
Oh,
agree.
obviously, you want coach. Go Tigers. You gotta have.
Doing a
gotta
press
have.
conference here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's some fascinating names. And most of these are not going to be legit, but I mean, we were just kind of spitballing at the end. I mean, it's you never. I mean, who knows, right?
Who knows? I mean,
It's the fun of it.
is the interim gonna be the interim for a season?
But how about Michigan now, right? How about Michigan? Since everybody else has hired a coach, they are front and center, man. Front and center in terms of the head coaching.
Front and center.
Unfortunately.
And how
for
much does it
news,
help with the transfer portal window not opening until January 2nd, as opposed to when it
See, but
used
here,
to be?
okay, so I hear your point on that, Yoxheimer. Here's the other side of that coin. When the portal opens, conversations have already been had for many, many weeks. So
no.
I know that's a
even,
That's not
even-
true.
I know it's crazy to suggest that tampering happens. That's insanity. But if you hire a coach in 10 days' time, I think if you're Michigan, you have to just punt on 2026. I think you have to just accept that you are not going to be good, and you have to figure out how can we stabilize this in the long term. You can't make a rash decision because you want a coach to try to get, some more portal guys for 2026. Like, man, you might have to give up on keeping Bryce Underwood. You might have to give up on being a good team next year. Maybe you don't.
So they
But
should. give
you
up
can't
on-
make a move with that in mind.
That means you don't have to go get the huge name, right? You don't have to go get a Lincoln Riley name. You don't have to win the headlines or the presser or whatever we always talk about. Like, if that's the case, Spencer, because I do think that's a legitimate option of just punting on 26, Michigan can kind of take their time. Just do
Punting?
what
Did
they
you say
wanna
punting? Do we need to go live on Locked On Hawkeyes?
do. Hey, watch it now. They lost a
Can,
lot
I,
of
can I
close
throw out
games
one
this
more
year.
fantastic name that I saw in the comments?
Hit
Hugh
me with it,
Jackson.
Roman.
Hugh
Ah!
Jackson.
Yeah.
That's a
Hugh Jackson,
deep
baby.
cut. That's deep in the vault.
That is
That's a
that is deep. I'm trying to think of like the most random coach that's been out of it for a long time. Oh, here we go.
Peterson. Chris
I got it.
Peterson.
I see it. I see it.
Bob Stoops.
I'm not seeing anything. I'm David Shaw. Yeah.
He had
Roman
NFL
gets it.
interests after 3-win seasons at Stanford.
I know. One of the
Back to the old
craziest
power
things I've
eye.
ever seen. Stanford went downhill, and David Shaw he's on an NFL staff somewhere. Anyone know what his current job title is?
I'm gonna look.
He is the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He's coached in college. He's got, I think he's been in the Big Ten before. No, I have that wrong in my head. He was San Diego, Stanford. Hey, man. If you want to have an uncomfortable blend between power football and the slow mesh, David Shaw is the man for the job.
Gross. That's
Oh man, this was the greatest thing we've ever done. Round of applause for Jacob Goins. This was his idea, and we've pulled off our first ever Locked On Big Ten squad
First of
live.
many.
What's that?
First of many.
First of many, perhaps.
Yeah,
First of
it's
many.
It's going to happen
see.
again.
I think it will. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies. We had Jay Stevens, a Locked On Buckeyes. Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. Zach Seiko, Locked On Nittany Lions. And Zach Anderson, Yoxheimer of Locked On UCLA. I'm Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On all over the place, and we'll see you next time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.